Welcome. I'm Kinetic Symphony. I hunt down and report on mysterious and weird true stories, from glitches to the paranormal. This is my weekly compendium of case reports between the 23rd of February to the 1st of March 2021. Case files number 61 to 66. Case file number 61, written by user Freak Salad. A walk at night. Look up. That was a mistake. About 5 years ago, I was abducted. I'm not a kook. I'm a scientific-minded person. I've tried making sense of it. I've concluded that it was too real to be a dream. All I can remember is the moment before it happened and the moment after. No memories of being on the UFO, and no memories of any aliens. The whole experience went like this. The sun barely set. The sky was blue. I was going to get the mail. As soon as I left the front door and walked down the steps, I saw it, directly above me. I'm getting goosebumps while typing this. This wasn't some flying saucer out in the distance. This was huge, gray, triangular, size of a city, hovering over my house. A UF mother-freaking O. I knew it was aliens. I felt that impending doom, a sense of wonder too. Fear, love, hyper-excitement. I felt high. I knew I was going to be taken. Then I woke up in my bed. But it wasn't morning. It was the same time I went to get the mail. It's the craziest thing that's ever happened to me. So I googled triangle UFOs because this wild stuff happened, and what do you know? It's a thing, a common type of sighting. I never knew this. Then for some reason, triangles everywhere. Street signs, music covers, screensavers, tattoos, Illuminati symbols, Nazi symbols, the pyramids. What the hell? Could it have been a dream? No. Triangle coincidences later. Maybe. What I do know is this. Truth is stranger than fiction. Stay weird. Update. I've read all the comments on my last post. I want to thank you all for your support and personal stories relating to the abduction. I'm truly grateful. But to be honest, I feel like I shouldn't have posted. Ignorance is bliss. I'm questioning everything. I'm starting to feel paranoid that I'm in danger. As I type this, my right ear started to ring and loud hail began hitting the window. I'm genuinely scared. I fear I'm being watched. I get the chills and my hair keeps standing up. I was asked questions on the post. I wanted answers myself, so I did some digging. I do not like what I found. Endless streams of evidence supporting my abduction. It makes me sick. I feel like I have PTSD. I have links to what I've discovered, but first I want to add some details to my last post. I said I got abducted 5 years ago, but it could have been 10, I don't honestly remember. When I said woke up, it was more like I became aware again, like I snapped out of a trance. I wasn't groggy, it was all one quick event, like an edited splice. I walked outside, looked up, saw it, then I appeared in my bed. Some people commented, if you're scientifically minded, you should know it was a dream. I think I was abducted because I'm scientifically minded. Case notes, file number 61. I watched a few videos you researched. I've never consciously thought of having been abducted myself, or even having seen a UFO, but honestly I felt really freaking uneasy seeing examples of what you described. I'm not sure if I have repressed memories or something, but damn. As for your case, you've never felt abducted. It was time loss, loss of consciousness. It does sound like you were interacted with. Did you have any markings on your body after? It's been a while, so you probably don't remember, unless there's scarring involved. If the OP responds later, I'll add it to the comments. What do you think? A quick note before the next story. If you're enjoying the video, consider sharing it. It really helps. Thank you. Case file number 62, written by user Loose Alternative 990. Yet another account of time distortion. from 12 to 4, seemingly instantaneously. This happened 2 years ago. I was 20, living with my parents, and had just finished my second year of university. It was a late morning in June, and my mom asked me to go to the shop and buy her some milk. It's about a 10-minute walk from my front door to the shop. I left the house sometime between 11 and noon. When I got there, I was surprised to see how busy it is for being so early on a Friday. It's filled with secondary school kids, which usually only happens before or after school starts. I figured it must be a half day, but I don't ponder it too much. I buy the milk and make my way home. As I'm walking home, I see a car coming up the road towards me that looks like my mom's. It pulls up right beside me, and I realize that it is my mom. She yells at me to get in now, and I quickly get in the passenger seat. My mind is racing, thinking that something has happened to Dad or someone in our family. Then she asks, "Where have you been?" To cut a long story short, according to her, I went out at the time mentioned above and was gone for nearly 4 hours. I checked my watch and sure enough, it was 4:06 p.m. I tried to explain that it was impossible, that I'd just left the house. If I wasn't such a sensible, honest person, she might have thought I was lying. But instead, she was worried. She thought I'd blacked out and convinced me to go see a doctor a couple days later, which I did. I was referred to the hospital for an MRI. As far as anyone could tell, nothing was wrong with me. This was on my mind for a good few weeks after it occurred, and I realized that whatever happened must have happened on the way to the store, which explained the school kids. Oddly, I didn't notice the change in temperature or daylight. However, given that it was a warm but typical overcast English summer, there probably wasn't that much of a change between noon and 4 p.m. The only thing that comes to mind is that I had taken a detour on my way to the shop, just on a whim. Rather than follow the stretch of the winding road up to the shop, I cut through a street and walked up a side alley between two houses. I don't normally do this, so could this glitch be connected to that alleyway? I haven't taken that detour since, but I am tempted to. Case Notes, File Number 62. Anomalies like this involving time distortion, they're often associated with alien abductions. However, this is uncommon while in broad daylight, and also in such a populated area as a town. I'm not sure how big your town is, but even if it's small, it's a lot of people during the day. Wouldn't be possible for a ship to go undetected, right? But then again, just the prior case, there was an alien ship involved that was apparently the size of a city. So maybe they can make themselves seen, but only to the people they want to be seen by. I don't know. That would be very advanced, basically magic to us. My guess though, some locations are time distorted, and it doesn't happen every time people pass through that specific location. Just last week I read a story involving a lifeguard that was witnessing a kid who took 10 minutes to get down a slide that should only take 20 seconds. And there was even another kid that went through the slide twice, and there was no issue. So he wasn't in the slide until then he was later. It doesn't make any sense. It's like he was isolated and removed from reality for a certain amount of time. He didn't even realize it, as far as anyone could tell. By all accounts, that kid didn't even notice anything was off. It's been 2 years, so you probably don't recall, but were there any markings or bruises on your body? I also saw you mention you had an analog watch on. Was the time kept correctly on the watch? You didn't have to readjust it after the fact. The OP responded to my comment, saying, "There were no bruises or markings. I didn't even feel tired or unwell. My watch was the correct time when I looked at it when I got into the car. Wish I had my phone with me though." I read that water slide one too. Really creepy and not too dissimilar from my experience, but in a different perspective. I wish I could have someone witness and tell them what they saw. Continuing my thoughts. Then by that account, because your watch was matching the time, it does seem like your entire body, including the watch, was simply separated from reality. I don't believe this case is an alien abduction. Case file number 63. Written by user ThrowRaw, Yikes Girl. 3 examples are given from a lifetime of baffling, inexplicable happenings. It's an inside joke with my family that someone up there has my wires mixed up because I always have weird coincidences or unexplainable things happen to me. I also get those dreams that come true later too. These are stories of other people experiencing weird things that involved me, but weren't caused by me. Hope you enjoy it. Number 1. A woman who frequented my dad's workplace convinced him that she knew me and sponsored me in Little League. I never played Little League, but I did volunteer at some games with my after-school club doing arts or snacks. The next time she came around, they chatted and my dad mentioned that I never played sports. She was adamant she sponsored me, and the next time she came in, she showed him a photo of a team flag with my name stitched in. I have a somewhat unique name. Probably less than 10 people have ever had my first and last name combo. My dad thought she was weird and gave her business to his colleague. Number 2. An old friend I hadn't spoken to since high school texted me out of the blue saying she had a crazy dream I was in a car accident. I was commuting during rush hour and a truck switched into my lane without looking, pushing me into the median. She texted me as I was sitting in the back of an ambulance, getting looked over, and I sent her a selfie with the EMT to freak her out. Number 3. I used to live next door to my cousin when we were in high school. It was a duplex situation with stairs splitting the building into a left and right side, so our front doors faced each other. I would often go over to escape chores at home or just to hang out. I'd text my cousin, "Come open the door," followed by knocking an obnoxious tune, and he'd come let me in. One night, I was up late watching a movie in my living room. I get a knock at the door and open it to see my cousin standing outside looking rather tired and annoyed. He asked me if I was coming over or not, to which I said no, I'm in the middle of a movie. He asked me why I had been knocking on his door and texting him then. We checked my phone and my outbox had 6 texts in a row saying, "Open door." It freaked us out, and I texted him while he was next to me. WTF, I didn't text that. And "Do not open the door." In between my 2 texts to him, another "open door" was sent. He had his messages open, and we saw all 3 messages pop up in real time. This was before I had a smartphone. LG Beacon. I looked it up. So I chalked it up to an actual tech glitch. But my cousin maintains that he heard a melodic knocking on his door at the same time he got the first 6 open door messages. Case notes, file number 63. Number 1, I have no particular explanation for, given your name is so unique. Maybe it's just a coincidence, but I suppose that's your life catchphrase, isn't it? Number 2, so straight up foresight on the part of your friend. The curious question though, is foresight an ability an individual has, or is it connected to the individuals they see in their visions? Maybe people don't have the ability, they merely connect to special people, key players if you will. The last one sure could be a tech glitch. I've read a few related to this, emails being sent later on, and duplicates. Of course, what makes it genuinely unsettling is that your cousin heard knocking in your own self-described obnoxious tune. What do you think? Case file number 64, written by user Kaizek96. As a child, he played with another young girl who no one else noticed. There's a reason for that. I remember looking through a photo album with my mom a while back, and we came across some pictures of my aunt's house, which happened to be a farm. I have a memory of that place even though I was only 4 at the time. Particularly of this little girl I used to play with there. It was so strange because it was my first memory of meeting my aunt and uncle, as well as my cousin. They were all in each other's arms except for this little girl who had long curly blonde hair, fair skin, blue eyes, wearing this blue overall dress with a white shirt underneath. She was just standing there off to the side, ignored by everyone else, and yet she was looking at me with a charming smile. I remember being confused about this and wondering if she did something really bad to be ignored like that. Sometime later on, we were having dinner and at some point, I remember seeing her again at the stairwell, beckoning me to come play with her. So I asked my mom if I could go play and she said yes. Everyone was so engrossed in each other's company that they didn't even notice me heading up the stairs with her and into my aunt's bedroom, where the girl led me to a closet away from all the chaos. The closet door was left just a crack open, allowing some of the light from the hallway in, illuminating her face. She hands me some cards and, of course, I had no idea what to do with them, so she attempted to teach me. This went on for some time until my mom started calling out my name, searching for me. Just as my mom enters the room, the little girl starts to evaporate into the shadows, escaping my vision, and I was suddenly left alone in the closet with a handful of cards. So when I saw those pictures in the photo album, I asked my mom what had ever happened to that house. My mom tells me that Auntie sold it, and when I asked why, she said it was actually because I freaked them out. Intrigued by this, I pressed on a little more, asking what exactly had happened. She said that when they noticed I wasn't around, they went looking for me, eventually finding me in my aunt's room in her closet, playing with some cards. No one knew where I got those cards from, and they were especially weirded out when I wouldn't stop asking where the girl, whose name I can't recall, was. I did end up telling my mom about that experience, and she took interest in it, but you could tell she was also becoming unnerved by it, and we eventually ended up changing the subject. It's so weird though, having that memory. I honestly thought I had another cousin when I was little, and I thought my aunt and uncle were hiding her from me. That was until my auntie gave birth to a little girl, and I eventually just moved on from trying to see that girl again. Case notes, file number 64. So my initial thought is, do you remember where she took the cards from? Were they on the ground around a room or closet, or did she have them on herself? Either way, if this was a ghost, that's the most shocking aspect. It would mean either she physically manifested the cards from the ether, or was able to interact physically with existing cards in the world. In both cases, that's honestly incredible. Case file number 65. Written by user MetaLibra6. Happy birthday. Wait, that's early. Weird. Hey wait, this conversation already happened. I swear it. My birthday is the 6th of October. This one was quite uneventful with one exception. Let me preface this a little bit by saying that 1 or 2 days before my birthday, I had 3 different and unrelated people tell me, "Happy belated birthday," which I thought nothing of when the first person said it. But by the 3rd time, I was thinking maybe my birthday on my Facebook profile changed somehow. So I checked, and it was still set to show my correct birthday. Fast forward to the night of the 4th, and my partner, after a long commute, got home from work at 7 p.m. and started complaining about a match with his favorite soccer team. They're usually a very excellent team and win a majority of their matches. He was enthusiastically telling me that they had lost against the team that was known to be not so stellar. He told me the score was 7-2, which he repeated several times throughout the night in disbelief. When this conversation happened, I was sitting in the chair at our dining table, and he was sitting on our 2-seater lounge about 2 meters or 6-ish feet away. Fast forward again to the next day, the 5th, and it's about 5 p.m. My partner had just gotten off work and sent me a screenshot of a score message saying that he was so upset that his favorite football team lost 7-2. I told him, "Yeah, don't you remember we had this conversation last night? They lost 7-2 because of blah blah blah." And he said, "What conversation? I have no idea what you're talking about." Needless to say, I was confused at this point and thought he was acting strangely. What is he talking about? We 100% had the conversation. There is zero doubt in my mind. I was there in person. It happened. It wasn't some dream. So I pushed further and described what I remembered. He said, "What are you on about? That didn't happen. There's no way we talked about it last night. They didn't even play until 2 a.m. this morning." So I furiously went onto Google to find the list of game times, and to my shock, he was right. The only game that had a score result of 7-2 was a match that was played that very morning at 2 a.m. my time. There was absolutely nothing the night before when we had that conversation. But I was the only one remembering it had happened. So that, coupled with the odd belated birthday wishes when it wasn't even my birthday yet, made me kinda wonder if I was somehow glitched forward in time to a day later for a short period. I'm still just confused about it. He also denies it happened, including where we were sitting. Case notes, file number 65. Has anything of a similar nature to this, predicting or living the future, happened to you before? That you were wished happy birthday 3 times early might even be unrelated to the second glitch. I think you had a form of foresight, a vision of the future played out as a simulation in your mind. Did you feel at all tired in the days before or after this event? These are the questions I asked the OP, and she responded with, "It's never happened to me before." Both scenarios, if you will, played out totally differently, even though the score was the same in both. The early belated birthday wishes absolutely could be unrelated and just a strange coincidence. I felt normal pretty much throughout the whole thing. Nothing out of the ordinary that I can recall, though I've been going through some medical stuff and my energy reserve has been diminished from what it was. That's unrelated to the event and started long before the event took place. I realize though it's difficult to be able to believe someone who says they're not making something like this up in their mind or having a vision, as there's no hard proof. But be that as it may, as far as I'm concerned, it was 100% real and was another day just like it always was. The whole day happened. It wasn't just a glimpse of a scenario into the future. It was as though nothing was strange except after the fact regarding that damn score. What do you think? Case file number 66, written by user Black Ops 2 is best. Huge family, noise at all hours. Today was deafening silence. Where is everyone? For background info, the incident happened at my aunt's old one-story house. At the time this occurred, there were 10 people in the house in total. Also, only 3 or 4 were adults, meaning 6 kids that were living there in total. This is important because the house was always loud. Another important part is we lived about half a mile from a local airport where planes would fly all the time. It was loud inside and outside, never a moment of silence. We didn't have money to go out, so someone was always home. The story begins when I first wake up. I had a bunk bed with my twin. My cousins, all girls, shared another bunk along the wall. I notice that it's eerily quiet, but don't think much of it yet. I get up, and in all the other beds, the covers are messy like they got up. No one was in the room. I thought they had just gotten up to go play and eat breakfast. I got up and went into the living room, where I was met with yet more complete silence. The house is usually booming with activity by 11 a.m. Yet, not a single soul was anywhere in the living room. I went into the kitchen next. No one again. I went into both my cousins' rooms on opposite sides of the house. The covers were undone in both and no one was in either room. I go into my aunt and uncle's room, which was a last resort for me because you're not exactly supposed to go in there unless you have to. I go in to find that the room was exactly like all the rest in the house. Covers unturned. Yet no one was in the room. Our tiny attic was connected to their, aunt and uncle's, bathroom. I checked it. Nothing. My first conclusion, was that they all went out to eat for the first time in my entire life without me. I was crushed. I went into the garage expecting to find cars gone or at least one of us out there. I go out and everyone's car is there. Not only that, but I had stepped outside and had expected to hear something. Plane, cars, people, etc. All I heard, still, was this deafening silence that was so alien to me. Half a mile from an airport, I should have heard something. It was like I was the last person on Earth type of silence. Not only that, but I also didn't see anyone at the airport either. The reality was I couldn't find my family and I was terrified. At this point, I lose it. I sit on a bench and just cry my eyes out. I pinched myself repeatedly, hoping to end whatever was going on, but it didn't work. I end up just sobbing on the bench and watching the clock, hoping this would end somehow, and I'd have my family back. 20 minutes pass, then 1 hour, then an hour and a half, then 2 hours on the bench, then 3 hours. Then out of nowhere, my dad just walks into the kitchen. I saw it from the bench. The door was glass, so you could see through it. I jumped up and ran into the kitchen and hugged him as tight as I could. I asked him, "Where were you?" He just said, "I've been here. What are you talking about?" My jaw hit the floor. Then I noticed my cousins come out of our room that we shared. My aunt comes into the kitchen from her room. People suddenly materialized. I was shocked, but I was just excited to have my family back. Life went on from that point. There was no waking up or anything like that. Let me know what your thoughts are. Case notes, file number 66. This is incredible. I've read 2 accounts now before about people being in dead pockets of the world. One where the person's whole world went gray, and another one at night, where he was just walking around. But the key feature of similarity is that everyone was gone. People, sound, etc. It was dead quiet. Or maybe a better word is lifeless. My guess is somehow you were stuck in limbo between worlds. Our normal server, 7.8 billion players. You, new server. Same stuff, but a player count of 1. You. It makes sense in a weird way, besides the obvious flaw of how the hell and why would you go there and how did you come back? Oh, and did your family notice you were gone for 3 hours? The author responded to my comment, saying, "I'm glad to know there are other accounts of this. I don't want it to ever happen again though." And they didn't notice that anything happened besides my scared expression. It was like life just continued on like normal. Continuing my thoughts. Now see, that's the detail that takes the glitch to another level. It's not that you were disconnected from the world for 3 hours, but somehow no one realized. So either they interacted with a fake you for those 3 hours, or somehow time lost its meaning for everyone. This is so strange. If you enjoyed the video, give it a like and subscribe on up. I'll see you in the next video very soon.